In 1914, far out in the South Atlantic Ocean, there is a small, lonely island. The Spanish government sends a weather expert named David to live there for 1 year and study the weather. They prepare everything for him: food, supplies, and a small house to stay in. On this tiny island, there are only 2 things: a lighthouse and David's little house. But when the ship arrives, something strange happens. Another man, Robert, was supposed to be there. His 1-year duty should have ended today, and he was supposed to return on the ship. But Robert is missing. Everyone thinks he might be inside the lighthouse, so the captain and David walk there together. As they get closer, they notice something very strange. Around the lighthouse, there are sharp weapons, iron spikes, and wooden defenses. It looks like someone was ready for a fight. David knocks on the door many times, but no one answers. At last, they break the door open. Inside, they find a man named Gruner, the lighthouse keeper. When they ask about Robert, Gruner replies in a strange way. He only says, maybe he died somehow. As the captain and the sailors get ready to leave the island, Captain Axel asks David one last time, "If you want, you can return with us now." But David shakes his head. He refuses to go back. He knows that if he can collect the weather data properly for the government, he will be given a big reward at the end of the year. That hope of money makes him agree to stay alone on the island. Before leaving, the captain warns him, this place is not good at all. Be careful. He also gives David a gun in case he needs to protect himself. That night, David sits alone in his small house. Suddenly, he finds Robert's old diary. Inside the pages, there are only strange scribbles and descriptions of terrifying, unknown creatures. Some pages even show scary drawings, half-human, half-sea monster figures. The next day, David goes out to collect weather data. He writes down notes about the wind, the waves, and the sound of the sea around the island. Along the way, he also picks up some seashells, just to break the boredom of being alone. After finishing his work, he looks through his binoculars toward the lighthouse. Suddenly, he notices something shocking. Gruner is standing there, with another figure, but in the blink of an eye, that strange shadow disappears. David thinks maybe it was just his eyes playing tricks. When he looks again through the binoculars, he sees only Gruner. Still, deep inside, an uneasy feeling starts to grow. Did he really imagine it? Or is there actually someone else on this island? That same night, David is busy with his work. Suddenly, he hears a cracking sound, as if someone is knocking at the door. At first, David thinks it might be Gruner. Slowly, he walks toward the door, but the closer he gets, the more strange noises he hears. The sound is not human. It feels unfamiliar and disturbing. And then, David sees a hand sliding in through the gap of the door. The hand is not normal at all. The fingers are long, and the skin looks like a duck's webbed feet. It's as if the creature is half human, half sea monster. Seeing this, David freezes in terror. He immediately runs down to the basement and hides in the darkness. For a moment, everything is silent, until suddenly several creatures break inside. Their glowing eyes shine in the dark, and their breathing sounds like it is coming from deep under the sea. They search the house, moving around as if they will not stop until they find David. One of them finally notices him and moves closer. Shaking with fear, David pulls out a knife and stabs it in the eye. The creature screams in pain and thrashes wildly, while the others quickly retreat. The house falls silent again. But now David is sure. The monsters described in Robert's diary are not imagination. They are real. And they are here, on this island. The next morning, David steps outside. On the ground, he sees strange footprints that lead straight into the sea. At that moment, David finally understands why Gruner had placed so many sharp weapons, iron traps, and barriers around the lighthouse. It was all to keep those monsters away. David realizes that if he keeps staying in his small house, the creatures will kill him one night. Feeling helpless, he runs to the lighthouse. He bangs on the door and shouts, "Open the door! I can't survive here alone." But Gruner doesn't open. Instead, in an angry voice, he says, "You should have left with the captain. Now your survival is your own problem." Then, instead of helping, he pours a bucket of cold water on David from above. Soaking wet and humiliated, David returns to his house. But now he makes a decision. He will protect himself. He gathers wood and secures the doors and windows tightly. He also collects book pages and dry branches to make fire if needed, because he knows something terrifying will happen again the next night. While searching inside the house, David finds some old guns and bullets. As darkness falls, his fear grows stronger. Any moment, the creatures might attack again. Holding the gun, he waits by the door, barely breathing. Soon, his fear comes true. Strange screams echo from all sides. The creatures begin trying to break through his doors and windows. David wastes no time. He fires the gun and several monsters fall to the ground. But they are too many, and the fight doesn't stop. So he follows his backup plan. Through the back door, he sets fire to papers, books, and other things he had prepared outside. His hope is that the fire and smoke will drive the creatures away. But luck is not on his side. The fire spreads to his own house. In moments, the entire place is burning. David has no choice but to escape. He runs out, heading toward the lighthouse, and hides behind a large stone nearby. That night, it had rained, and the next morning, David sees that his whole house has turned into ashes. Now there is only one way to survive. He must find shelter in Gruner's lighthouse. Armed with a rifle, he hides behind a large rock and waits for Gruner. A little later, when Gruner comes out to fetch water, David secretly follows him. But suddenly, a strange creature jumps on David. After a fierce struggle, David is about to kill it when Gruner points a gun at him and orders him to stop. Gruner explains that this creature is actually his pet, the one he has kept alive. David makes a deal. If Gruner wants to keep the creature alive, then he must allow David to stay in the lighthouse. Gruner finally agrees because David has plenty of food and supplies. Soon after, we see David and Gruner dragging food and other items into the lighthouse. One night, while David is in deep sleep, he suddenly feels a cold hand touching his arm. He opens his eyes and sees it's the strange creature. But what surprises him is that the creature's hand, which had been burned in the fire the day before, is now completely healed. David is shocked, yet amazed by the creature's strange power. The next day, he asks Gruner to tell him more about it. David believes that if they can share this with the outside world, they will gain fame and fortune. But Gruner immediately refuses. He says he has no desire to ever leave this island. In his mind, this island is his kingdom, and he is its king. David then asks, surprised, why this creature stays with him. Gruner explains that a long time ago, he saved its life. The creature had once been trapped in his fishing net, and Gruner set it free. From that day on, it has stayed by his side. But the truth is, Gruner is a cruel and harsh man. He only uses the creature for his own needs, sometimes for work, and sometimes for abuse. He has no love for it, only a sense of ownership and control. Gruner tells David that every night, groups of these sea creatures come out of the ocean. They want to take back this one creature that lives with him, but Gruner will never let it go. These creatures fear sunlight, so they never appear during the day, only at night. Hearing this, David becomes terrified. He realizes this island is a death trap for him. In his heart, he decides that one day he must escape this cursed place, but Gruner gives him no time. He hands David a gun and says, "Night is coming. Be ready. Without fighting, you can't survive here." As darkness falls, the lighthouse lamp is lit. At once, the roar of the sea rises. Countless creatures break through the waves and surround the lighthouse. Gruner shoots without mercy, one after another, falling to the ground. But David's hands shake. Out of fear, he can't even pull the trigger properly. In the end, terrified, he collapses in a corner of the lighthouse, unconscious. That whole night, Gruner fights alone, shooting non-stop, using fire, and somehow keeping the monsters away. At dawn, everything becomes silent again. In the morning, Gruner splashes water on David's face to wake him. His voice is hard and cold. "If you want to stay here, just writing weather notes is not enough. You must fight every night, bring water, and do all the work I give you. Otherwise, you won't last a single day." That night, the attacks begin again. From all sides, terrifying screams fill the air as the creatures charge at the lighthouse. But this time, David is not afraid. He clenches his teeth and fights back, striking them one after another. His eyes no longer show fear, only the desperate urge to survive. Suddenly, Gruner throws him outside and locks the door. It's as if he wants David to be trapped in the nightmare, so he can learn how to fight these inhuman creatures on his own. But to Gruner's surprise, when dawn comes, David is still alive, covered in blood, but with a new strength in his eyes. He has survived the night. Days pass one after another. By day, they continue their daily tasks. By night, they fight to stay alive against the creatures. During this time, something unusual happens. David begins to form a strange connection with a female creature that they had captured. At first, it's only pity, then compassion, and finally, a strange attraction. The loneliness, the emptiness of not having a family. All of it seems to fade when he looks at her face. David even gives her a name, Anarius. One day, David and Gruner notice something strange. The attacks from the creatures have slowed down a lot. David thinks maybe in the rainy season they move somewhere else, or maybe they've realized they can't defeat humans anymore. But Gruner shakes his head. No, David, they'll be back. Right now, they're breeding. In a few days, their numbers will grow again, and the attacks will return. A few nights later, while playing chess, they forget to light the lighthouse lamp. That small mistake gives the creatures their chance. From the darkness, they suddenly attack. This time, the creatures look more terrifying than ever, almost impossible to fight. David and Gruner fight for their lives and barely manage to lock themselves inside a small room. Their breathing is heavy, and it feels like they won't survive this night. But just then, the sun rises in the east. The moment sunlight touches them, the frightened creatures retreat back into the ocean. The next morning, David sees Anarius, the female creature he had named, licking his wounds to heal him. This leaves him shocked. At that moment, he realizes that maybe these creatures can never truly be defeated. Food and bullets are running out, and even bigger nightmares are waiting ahead. That same day, David suddenly spots a ship passing across the sea. Filled with hope, he quickly grabs a flare gun and fires a signal, but Gruner stops him. At that moment, Anarius suddenly attacks Gruner as if to protect David, because she has now realized how cruel Gruner really is. The truth is, Gruner never wanted David to leave the island. He wanted to keep his little kingdom untouched, hiding the creature's existence from the outside world. Slowly, the ship disappears from David's sight, and with it, his last chance to escape. Over time, Gruner becomes even more brutal. He often abuses Anarius, something David can no longer tolerate. One day, David gives her a small wooden boat as a gift. Touched, Anarius takes him to a large sunken ship in the middle of the ocean. When David asks about it, Gruner admits he already knew. Years ago, smugglers had come with weapons, but before dawn, the creatures killed them all. The ship was full of ammunition and explosives, but it sank. Hearing this, David forms a plan. If they can recover the dynamite and weapons, they can blow up all the creatures at once. Gruner agrees, though secretly planning to kill David underwater. Wearing diving suits, they dive into the wreck. David eventually finds the dynamite, but suddenly, a baby creature appears. Terrified, he pulls the rope for help, but Gruner refuses to lift him. Somehow, David manages to remove the heavy suit and swim back up on his own. Back at the lighthouse, the two set up dynamite all around to destroy the creatures. But days pass and none attack. Suspicious, Gruner accuses Anarius of warning the others. In rage, he tries to kill her, but David stops him. Finally, they come up with a new plan. At night, they leave the lighthouse door open and force Anarius to cry, knowing her call will draw the others from the sea. The plan works. Countless creatures rise from the waves and attack. Some break inside, but David shoots them down. Gruner pulls the dynamite lever, but nothing happens. David had forgotten to connect the wires. He quickly climbs up and fixes it. Two massive explosions shake the island, killing countless creatures. But the blast knocks both David and Gruner unconscious. When they wake the next morning, the ground is covered with bodies. Anarius is gone. Gruner begins slaughtering the few survivors mercilessly. At that moment, David notices a necklace around a female creature's neck. He realizes these beings are not just monsters. They are a society, a people. After that, the attacks stop. But sometimes cries echo from the ocean. David feels deep regret for what they have done. One morning, he sees a few baby creatures. Gently, he leaves the small wooden toy boat by the shore, hoping Anarius might return, but she never does. Later, David finds some old photographs of Gruner. To his shock, he realizes that Gruner was once Robert, the same man who had been sent years ago as a weather officer. Now, twisted by time and isolation, he has become Gruner. The next day, David goes back to the shore. The toy boat is gone. Instead, a small baby creature stands there, but it does not attack. Then, from the ocean, Anarius rises again, along with many more creatures. But strangely, they do not fight. They only want peace, a chance for their children to live safely. Suddenly, Gruner storms out of the lighthouse, ready to kill again. David begs him to stop, but he refuses. Frustrated, he storms back into the lighthouse and fires a flare. It hits a baby creature, killing it instantly. Enraged, David grabs Gruner and demands to know why he killed the innocent child. At that moment, Gruner finally realizes his mistake. Regret fills his face and he surrenders himself to the creatures. But they tear him apart and kill him brutally. Time passes. David's one-year stay on the island finally ends. Another weather officer arrives with a new captain. When the captain asks David his name, he lies. He says he is Gruner, because David does not want any more humans to come and torture the creatures, just like the real Gruner once did. And this is how the movie comes to an end.